In the Penal Colony is a short story by Franz Kafka, originally written in German in 1914. Set in an unnamed desolate colony, this allegorical fantasy delves into themes such as the dynamics of power and control, the conflict between tradition and conformity versus innovation and progress, and the repercussions of a lack of self-identity and belonging. The machine in the story serves as a metaphor for the judicial system, characterized by its coldness, indifference, and inefficacy. Franz Kafka, a Bohemian writer from what is now the Czech Republic, is renowned for his short stories and novels featuring characters caught in surreal situations, often defined by convoluted and nightmarish bureaucracies. These bizarre scenarios are referred to as Kafkaesque, a term derived from his name. Kafka is regarded as one of the most significant German writers, and his translated works have inspired numerous 20th century authors, including Jorge Luis Borges, Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, and Gabriel Garcia Marquez. The story begins with an officer enthusiastically proclaiming, "It's really quite a contraption," as he shows a machine to a traveler. The officer appears to be intimately acquainted with the device, which is designed for executing prisoners who disobey. However, the traveler seems disinterested in both the machine and the isolated penal colony. Aside from the officer and the traveler, there is only one soldier and a condemned man present. The prisoner is chained like a dog, with the soldier holding the heavy chains. The traveler appears anxious and perplexed, unaware of the machine's purpose, as he paces nervously while the officer makes final adjustments, refusing to trust anyone else with the apparatus due to his diligence and attachment to it. Once everything is prepared, the officer invites the traveler to sit down and begins to explain the machine, which he describes as a testimony to the inventiveness of the old commander. He attributes the entire existence of the penal colony to this former leader and expresses disdain for the new commander. The officer details the machine's three components: the bed, the inscriber, and the harrow, a rake-like tool with spikes typically used for breaking up soil. The bed, covered with a special kind of cotton wadding, serves as the base where prisoners are placed. A felt stub is inserted into their mouths to prevent screaming and biting their tongues. The bed and inscriber are roughly the same size, resembling two dark, humongous trunks interconnected by brass poles. Between the bed and the inscriber, the harrow hovers, linked by a steel band. The officer's explanation captivates the traveler, and noticing his increasing curiosity, the officer pauses to entertain questions before continuing with greater detail. Once the prisoner is strapped in, the bed begins doing its dance, while the harrow carries out the execution of the judgment. The officer shows the traveler the handwritten renderings of the old commander's judgments, assuring him that they are not harsh and that "honor thy superiors" will be inscribed on the prisoner's body. Meanwhile, the soldier and the prisoner sit in silence. The prisoner attempts to appear attentive, despite not understanding a word due to the language barrier. The traveler asks if the prisoner is aware of his judgment. The officer explains that prisoners do not have the chance to know their sentences or defend themselves, as their guilt is never in question. He recounts the prisoner's crime. He was caught sleeping, instead of saluting his major, who then slashed his face with a horsewhip to wake him up. The officer resumes his explanation. As the harrow vibrates, its long needles pierce the prisoner's body, while the short needles spray water to wash away the blood, keeping the script clear. The diluted blood flows into a ditch visible to all due to the harrow's glass construction. The script is inscribed as deeply as possible for 12 hours. After 2 hours, the prisoner is given porridge. By the 6th hour, he loses his appetite and becomes profoundly still. After another 6 hours, the harrow spears the prisoner's body and throws it into the ditch, where it is disposed of by the soldier and the officer. The soldier cuts away the prisoner's clothing, leaving him completely naked, and lays him on the bed's wadding. Just as the needles touch his skin, the prisoner stretches out his arm and rips the wrist strap, which is then replaced with chains. The traveler thinks to himself that he is merely a foreigner and should remain silent. His thoughts are interrupted by the officer's angry scream when the prisoner accidentally vomits on him. The execution process halts as the soldier cleans the mess, allowing the officer to speak with the traveler privately. He reveals that this punishment has fallen into disrepute, and that he is the last in the penal colony who insists on its use. He recalls how the machine was once impeccably maintained, and executions were grand events attended by many spectators. Now, he feels as though others are conspiring against him. He asks the traveler to help him implement his plan to bring the new commander down upon his knees. While the traveler admires his earnestness, he declines to participate, expressing his belief against capital punishment. The officer then informs the prisoner, who has become friends with the soldier despite being strapped down, that he is free to go. He releases the prisoner and positions himself on the bed. The machine seems to respond to him. He inserts the felt stub into his mouth, and the prisoner and soldier assist him in fastening the straps. The traveler, however, is determined to do nothing. Soon, the machine starts up silently. After a few moments, however, the gears begin to malfunction, rising, rolling over the edge of the inscriber, tumbling down and crashing to the ground, followed by several other gears. The machine is not only self-destructing, but also killing the officer. The traveler screams for help, but the soldier and prisoner cannot bring themselves to intervene. An iron stinger pierces through the officer's head, yet he maintains a calm expression. After the incident, the soldier and prisoner accompany the traveler to a dank, low-set, cave-like tea house where the old commander is buried. The tea house is filled with construction workers who whisper among themselves while casting glances at the foreigner. He expresses a desire to see the grave, which lies beneath one of the tables. The inscription on the gravestone proclaims the second coming of the old commander. As the traveler exits, he distributes coins among the workers and heads straight to the deck. Once on the boat, he finds the soldier and prisoner attempting to board. He threatens them with a massive rope, halting their efforts. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.